Cóż za piękny początek live'a, bez kitu. Dobra, ale chyba Steam wrócił, tak mi się zdaje. No dobra, to próbujemy jeszcze raz. Taka piękna zawartość, nie ma Dluko. Dobra, leci Stanley Parable ponownie. No dobra. Dobra, czyli co, ustawić swój ulubiony czas. Szkoda, że nie byłeś na początku, bo fajnie strollował tutaj twórca. Co to jest? Myszki nie widzę? What the hell? A, okej, cool. A dobra, już teraz widzę. Kurde, nie da się 13:37 ustawić. Niech będzie pierwszy. Będę musiał chyba... Ach, 1 p.m. Your favorite time of the day. Tak, bo ja na początku faktycznie ustawiłem, bo nie widziałeś tego chyba, tylko faktycznie ustawiłem czas tak jak było to na komputerze. Myślałem, że to jest z jakiegoś powodu potrzebne, tylko po to, żeby nas narrator trollował. Inaccurate. Kurna, no. Co jest z tą mychą? Dlaczego to znikło? Bez kitu. Teraz mam ochotę grę zrestartować. O, jeszcze się dźwięk skrzanił. Po mojej stronie. Co się dzieje z tym kompem moim dzisiaj? Okej. Wiecie co? Aż wyjdę i sprawdzę. Ej, elo palolek. Yo, yo. Dobra, stroluje mnie znowu na start? Czy nie? No, no. Wczoraj... A nie, czekaj, zaraz, to jest... Wait? What? What the fuck is this? Okay. Nie. Zrobię, ustawię tak inaczej. Until you stop adjusting the slider. Which one of the two made up words below is most appealing to you? Skrumtusz. O kubo. Nie, niech będzie to. Please don't touch the slider. Nie, będę robił to, co będę chciał. Do you know what time is it right now? Yes. Is the time that is right now the correct time? No. What is the time anyway? No. Anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Yes. Yes. Help. No. Eskitu, kocham tą grę po prostu. Dobra. Zróbmy to i to. Dobra, klik. Dobra, to już było. Spoko, spoko, możemy pograć, ale... Mówię, chcę sprawdzić tego Stanley Parable, bo naprawdę... Kurde... Kocham tą grę. Już nie miałem od dawna wymówki, by ją odpalić. I hate Mondays, zgadzam się.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Że te slajdy są piękne. Okej, o! O, to jest jedno ze śmiesznych zakończeń gry, ale teraz nie będę tego robił. Kanton miał kufajki, a nie też uszanki.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okej. Jak na razie to wygląda normalnie. Tego chyba nie było. Ale na razie nie będę próbował tu wejść.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Cóż za super sekretny kod.
Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okej. Ale gdzie? Ale że to było... Tu, czy? O, dobra, tu. O, newly opened passageway, okej. I co, i przycisk? O.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape. Okej, czyli już wiemy, że na pewno będzie się trzeba przejść w jedno z tych miejsc.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ciekaw jestem, czy jest to ten easter egg nadal.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ciekaw jestem. Coś tu się otwierało, nie wiem czy trzeba było pójść dalej?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Jak to się odpalało tego easter egga?
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it?
Dobra, trudno.
Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
A, co jak na razie tutaj? To wygląda dokładnie tak samo jak w poprzedniej części. Dobra, teraz będzie śmiesznie.
Rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Zróbmy tak, następna runda będzie taka, że wy będziecie decydować, gdzie iść dalej.
He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered.
Jak pięknie.
For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
To się właśnie ma źle skończyć, to jest wszystko... To jest właśnie o to chodzi w Stanleyu.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Nice, teraz pora rozwalić całą fabułę. Mamy achievement, beat the game. Jestem szczęśliwy. No dobra. Komputerki są włączone? Są. Powyłączam je.
He couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Dobra. Okej, to co robimy?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Lewo czy prawo? Lewo czy prawo? Prawo, dobrze.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Idziemy w lewo czy idziemy prosto? Się to uwielbiam, to jest tyle różnych ścieżek. Muszę podkrywać kilka nowych zakończeń. Prosto.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
O Jezu, zrobiłem tego narratora. Dobra. Dobra, zobaczymy, czy ciekaw jestem. A jest tu kilka opcji. Zrobimy tak.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Jedno z zakończeń. Czyli nadal jest,
All
nice.
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dobra, speedrunujemy. Cześć, Kwachu.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
To co, znowu prawo? Próbujemy? Spoko, spoko, Kwachu. Bardzo mi miło. Prawo, no to prawo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Dobra, idziemy znowu do przodu. Prosto, dobra.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Możemy spróbować zginąć jeszcze raz. Czekaj, to coś z tym było. Jeszcze raz. Bum.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley.
Teraz nie spadnie,
Everyone
tak.
thinks
Nie,
you
nie,
are
nie.
powerful.
Spróbujesz chyba następny raz, to nie będzie sensu. Zdaje mi się, że po którymś razie, jak już tak spadniesz, to się narrator wkurzy i będzie zamontowany na tej windzie taki ochraniacze, żebyś już nie mógł spaść. A zresztą sprawdzimy to. Sprawdzimy moją teorię, czy ja to dobrze pamiętam. Się narrator wkurzy i po prostu będą ochraniacze. Dobra, zrobimy speedrun tutaj.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace, its subtle
Za
charm.
każdym razem zmienia narrację, to jest zajebiste.
Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
A, jestem ciekaw.
Stanley
Nie,
was
to
so
jeszcze nie
bad
ten
at
moment.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Nie, dobra, już nie będę spadał. Ej, what? Jakoś... What? Jakoś się inaczej to zrobiło. Wait, what? A. A, to chyba będzie moment, gdzie będę miał w końcu tam
When
ten...
Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he
ochraniacze.
entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Bo nie zaczęliśmy od
Perhaps he
samego
wanted to
początku,
stop
nie wiem
the
czy
incorrect
zauważyłeś.
route first, just to admire it.
W ogóle trzeba mieć to, żeby zrobić speedrun tej gry, to w ogóle właśnie trzeba chyba zacząć nawet od tego miejsca.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true
Kurna, za każdym razem inna
Then
narracja,
the
bez
feeling
kitu.
went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there, just a kind of tingle. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Dobra, nie spadniemy, ale... Ciekawe są opcje, bo ja to pamiętam 3 opcje, które można zrobić. Co by tu zrobić? Dobra, zobaczmy co się stanie jak do przodu pójdziemy.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you.
Można tu zeskoczyć na to w ogóle. A dobra, pójdziemy tu do przodu.
Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking, this is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You. Oh, no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example,
Nice.
in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rufus has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Nice. O, właśnie o to mi chodziło.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
A, jakąś kartę to jakby trzeba było? Ciekawe, czy to naprawdę, czy tylko ten udają. Mogę wrócić na windę? Nie. Okej, oczywiście skakać nie można. Nie można. Dobra.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Okej.
Now remember, all you need
No,
to do
wracamy
is
do
behave
początku,
exactly
dokładnie.
as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
To idziemy na prawo.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Uwielbiam to, kocham ją. Dobra, jeszcze raz. Dobra, tu nic nie ma. No to co? No, zmusza nas w lewo. No dobra.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
What the fuck?
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If
No.
you'd just gone through the door on the left,
Idealnie,
the
dosłownie.
hole under the
Dokładnie.
facility, you would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead.
Welcome back.
All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
And... Jestem ciekaw, co się stało, jakbyśmy poszli w lewo, ale... Możemy iść w prawo. Twoje ulubione prawo, Madluko. Go right. Dobrze. Go right.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door.
Rozumiem, że znowu w prawo. W prawo, w lewo. No to dawaj jeszcze raz, no dobrze.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
No nie chcę mi dać.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting.
Czyli idziemy w lewo.
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task.
Chyba nie.
Follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Chciałem strollować drzwi, ale się nie udało.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
To było w dół normalnie, czyli... Okay. Nie da się w dół, a szkoda. O, i łazienki nie ma teraz. Tam jest jakieś nowe zakończenie, mówię ci.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again
Jest w ogóle zielony, a nie czerwony.
indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Okay.
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Night Shark. Yeah.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Something, something. Please open the door.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley?
We broke the game.
Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something.
Created with Unity. Okej, so z Unity było zrobione. No na Source było zrobione oryginalnie.
I need this. The story needs it.
Created with Unity, ciekawe. What? O. Tego nie ma konsoli. Oryginalna gra była na Source Engine.
You hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's
Spoko, no mówiłem Palolek z godzinę w to pogram, no to jeszcze tak trochę, no. Chciałem odkryć jakieś nowe wybory. No dobra. O! Moje ulubione.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Spróbujmy te komputerki poklikać. Coś z tymi komputerkami tutaj się robiło. Tyk. Input received. A! Każdym razem ten komputer jest jakby w innym miejscu, okej. Dobra. New content. Okej. Tego na pewno nie było. No to idziemy.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
To co jeszcze nie byłem?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Prawda.
After After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Zajebiste.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Dobra, zrobimy szybciutką pauzę. Ja tylko pójdę sobie naleję wody, bo już od tego gadania mi jest sucho i jedziemy dalej. No i dobra, jedziemy dalej.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Ale dobre, uwielbiam takie rzeczy.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, oh, okay. Let's see the content. Gimme the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
To będzie jakiś joke, bo w tej grze nie można skakać. No dobra. No spoko, kwachu. To chyba spróbujemy do końca. No. Oh no! Jakie kiepskie rozdzielczości do zera. Czy tu można odpiąć? No dobra. To sobie poskakaliśmy.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Okej. Co teraz? Co teraz? Ciekawe, możemy się wrócić? Próbujmy się wrócić do windy. Takie dzikie rzeczy czasami tutaj są. Nie, dobra.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and
O
we'll
Boże.
try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and
Zacząłem
me
się
having
bać.
a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Zaczynam się bać. O Boże. Okej. Stąd jeszcze nie zaczynaliśmy. Nigdy.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Nie wiem, czy iść. To czy tam? Ha! Co myślisz, Modluko? Idziemy do środka, czy próbujemy iść tędy? Właś? No dobra. Właś. Spooky.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
What the fuck?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
O nie, zamknęli mi drogę. Ale jak ładnie tutaj. Bez kitu.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Stanley Parable Collector's Edition. O, okej. Ale ty, ile on tego włożył w to wysiłku bez kitu, żeby tak wszystko poukładać. Mega. 20:30. Ciekawe, czy to jest ten czas, który ja ustawiłem. O, 20:13. Nie, to chyba nie jest ten czas, który ja ustawiałem. Byłby dość śmieszny easter egg. The original remake. A, no. A co to za strona w ogóle? Galactic Cafe? Game? Wspomnienia, wspomnienia. Smile because it happened. Stare menu. Don't play for 5 years. Kurde, nie dostałem tego achievementa, ale pewnie zrobię go w końcu. Possible to get this achievement. A są takie achievementy faktycznie. Ciekawe, ile z nich jest prawdziwych. New York Times. Ależ to pięknie.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "We're so many games that aspire to be more than games that end up less than any form of art. Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Aha! O, szkoda. Fajnie byłoby tam wejść. O, Hammer! Edytor Hammer. Mówię, że to było w Source'ie zrobione, a to też jest ciekawe, chyba w Source'ie. Czy faktycznie, chociaż to bardziej wygląda na Unity. Ale na pewno oryginalna gra była robiona w Source'ie. Stanley Parable.
Here's another
Jak to
moving
ładnie.
passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games
Carpet
and one
textures.
that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Pink Snake Oil Salesman. Co się otworzyło? Tam się coś otworzyło, okej. This serious room. No fajnie, ciekawe jak mam przejść. Skoro pudła mi tu zawalają. Okej. O, tam jest przyciski są? A, tu się coś otworzyło, dobra. I co, cofamy się?
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
A, jest, dobra.
Hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. funny. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Czyli, że co, sugeruje, że Steam to taka ruina?
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the
What the
Catholic
fuck?
family. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Okej. Dzień dobry.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a Oh, you're back, you see? You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips.
Shut up.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
Aha.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything.
Aha, o jeden skip za dużo. Okej. The hell?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny.
To
It was
Boże,
meant to
ten
have a
nadal
point.
gada.
It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said,
Okej. I co dalej? O, dobra, skip.
the end is never the end, 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 is
Ciekawe, jak on tak długo potrafi.
end, is never the 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 end.
Coraz więcej wody. O kurwa. O, dzień dobry. Pięknie. Piękny ogród. Czy piękna zieleń. Przyjemnie. Okej. Teraz jakaś apokalipsa. Scary to jakiś. What the... What the fuck? O. Czyżby już koniec? Ale... Nie, już się nie da wcisnąć. Szkoda. Okej. Coś mi się zdaje, że ten przycisk jeszcze będzie działał. Chyba nie. Dobra, także dotarliśmy do końca. To co, jeszcze jeden próbujemy jakiś? Jakieś zakończenie znaleźć? Ile już? Po godzinę? No, możemy spróbować.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Bip bop. Hmm. Spróbujemy.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ciężko nie zauważyć, naprawdę.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further.
Zaczynam się bać.
Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Okej. Woo! Investor Showcase.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Aż to ładnie. Investor Showcase.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Aż to ładne. Coś tu musi pójść nie tak. Zawsze tak jest. One plus one is two minus one is okay. Times New Roman. On trucking. Okay.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Okay. New features. New content. Piękny, piękny ten content. Naprawdę, narratorze, piękny. Wow, wow, wiła.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Exclusive, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Okay.
For the
Amazing.
Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and
Brought
validated.
to the
as
perfect button.
So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
Seriously?
Isn't that wonderful?
Okay. Okay. Name.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim, watching your dreams crumble into dust.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now? Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Dobrze. Ja już naprawdę myślałem, że będzie mówił moje imię.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable too. They would appreciate what I've created here. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Infinite Hall Collectibles. Okay. Infinite Hall. Settings World Champion. Infinite Free Achievement. Settings World Champion. Okay. Settings World Champion. Nie. Nie. No dobrze. Infinite Hall. No dobra. O, the jump circle. O nie!
Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Ciekawe. Szkoda, że rzuciłem wszystkie. Ciekaw jestem, czy to coś zmieniło. No dobra. Free Achievement. Infinite Hall. Dobra, zobaczmy. No, screenshots.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons.
Jakie mam screenshoty?
I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Wciśnij klawisz F12, żeby zrobić rzut ekranu. A nie, nic się nie dzieje, okej.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on.
Dobra, Infinite Hall, the Stanley Parable Reassurance Packet, Office Decorations, Infinite Hall. Dobra, chcę zobaczyć ten Infinite Hall koniecznie. Trzeba zobaczyć wszystko. No i achievement darmowy. Już pewnie nie będzie żadnego darmowego achievementu.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Niesamowity feature.
Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Okay, and I guess we're back in the hole now. Did you really need to see it again? I don't know what else there is to say, Stanley. It's an infinite hole. It's exactly what you're doing right now, but forever. There really are so many other fascinating exhibits that I've prepared for you. I really spent quite a lot of time on all this, and I would very much like to show you some more of them. How about we go ahead and press that teleport button again so we can get back to what's really important about... Oh, goodness. Well, this is rather embarrassing, Stanley. I'll be honest with you. I truly did not believe that anyone would actually stay in the hole long enough to hit the bottom. Yes, I know, I told you the hole was infinite, but come on. Who actually wants to fall forever? The hole was plenty deep. It was more than deep enough, in my opinion. Maybe it's you who likes falling too much. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said
Dobre, dobre, nie?
I mean, why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole
Mostly infinite.
If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of... Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on
Dobre.
here? Stanley, I
Uwielbiam
have
tą
no
gierkę.
explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
O nie, nie działa.
Is the, teleport button not working? You sure?
Co za koleś.
Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever ask for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
Aha.
Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Mhm. Aha. Okej. Ale nie spodziewałem się czegoś takiego, że tutaj będzie jakieś potencjalne zakończenie. O nie! Epicka muzyka. Change your perspective. Jaki epic ending. Change your perception. What the fuck? Change your reality. Musi dać, ta muzyka się robi coraz gorsza. Czy fajna piosenka? Dobra. O Boże. Nie mogę, kurwa, z tego. O Boże. Boże. Yeah! Change yourself. Nie, zaraz, jak chcesz zobaczyć ten... Change reality. What the fuck? Okay. Gdzie dojdziemy w tym Matrixie? O kurwa, zaczyna się robić groźnie. Dobra, chyba już jesteśmy w lupie. No to nakarm psa. Change yourself. O nie. What the fuck? Okej. Co jeszcze?
Stanley? 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 Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodlepip.
Także ten.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Próbujemy jeszcze raz, Madluko? Próbujemy jeszcze raz? Mostly in... Mostly Infinity... Okej, dobra. Jesteśmy. Mostly Infinite Home, dobrze. O nie! Darmowy achievement mnie da? Pull the lever, receive your new achievement, no more steps, it just works. Dobra, zaprosimy zobaczyć ten achievement.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel. to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Aha, no dobrze. Czyli nie możemy go zdobyć na razie. Dobra, idziemy do Mostly Infinite Hall.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
O nie, zamknięte? O, szkoda, dobra. Ten achievement to nie zdobędziemy. Co jeszcze nie zwiedziliśmy? Tutaj było. Collectibles, mostly. Dobra, collectibles. Collect them all.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Nice. Amazing.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
A, co my jeszcze mam do zrobienia? Jump circle, this map for achievement. Settings World Champion. Ciekawe, czy się coś otworzyło? A merchandise mieliśmy zobaczyć. Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket, ok. To musimy sprawdzić na pewno.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms.
O, słuchajcie, zrobimy pewien myk.
It's a much more convenient solution.
Kupuję Ready or Not, ale nie mówcie jeszcze Borsiowi. Jestem ciekaw, jak zareaguje.
Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
Więc może będzie Ready or Not.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
I co, i tak będę to teraz trzymał cały czas? No dobrze. Ryskity.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Really? Tak? Dobra, co dalej jeszcze mam tu do zrobienia? Jump Circle, Monster Infinite Hall. Collectibles. Chyba wszystko zrobiliśmy, co mogliśmy. Nic więcej nie ma. Collectibles, Monster Infinite Hall. No. Dobra, uciekamy. Exit Jump Circle Collectibles, co to już było? A te ustawienia? Ciekawe, czy to teraz jakoś otworzyło. Decorations. Gdzie to było? Settings World Champion, no ale tutaj nic nie będzie. To w ogóle będzie nieotwarte. No niestety. Dobra, no uciekamy stąd. Ale kurde, ładnie to zrobione. Fajne miejsce, no. Fajnie mi się to czas spędziło.
All right.
Najlepsza była ta
Isn't that what
dziura.
you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Chyba tak. Ready to move on. Matko, jak jakiś Wolfenstein. No, screenshots, no screenshots. Będę robił screenshot, jak będę miał taką ochotę. O,
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
lol.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Bez kitu! Begin the game settings credits. O, LOL! Whisky to nawet menu jest do tego zrobione osobno, ale mega. Credits. Begin the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was
Balony.
employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting.
Słuchajcie, ściągnę Ready or Not, a w międzyczasie jeszcze pogramy w Stanleya.
Had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found
Bo to
himself
60
unable to
gigsów
move for
jest.
the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Dobra, poczekajcie sekundkę, zobaczę na którym dysku. Mogę zainstalować? Dobra, dajmy na G. No dobra. Bez kitu są te balony.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oho, będzie się trochę ciąć, bo Steam uwielbia zwielać całego
No matter how
procka.
hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his
Dobra, to tylko
co-workers.
Stanley, tu się niewiele dzieje. Troszeczkę będzie nie chodzić tak płynnie. O, Reassurance Bucket!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Bez kitu na pewno gdzieś założy, że jest zaimplementowany ten Infinite Hall tutaj. Musi to być, musi. Musi to być po prostu. A właśnie, zobaczmy. Zobaczmy tak. O, niech ja sobie tu Steama odpalę. O, i będę widział pobieranie. Nice. No dobra, leci. Gdzie jest? Ciekawe, gdzie jest tam ten komputerek. Pewnie tam jest coś do wciśnięcia. Tylko ile Steam może zżerać rzeczy przy pobieraniu bez kitu? Bon. Coś z tymi komputerkami było, na 100%. Teraz będzie input code znowu? Nic nie ma, okej.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Dobra, idziemy na prawo.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. Truly, being here with the bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right. Then walking to the lounge. No, never mind.
The bucket was wrong.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Kurde. Iść, pomóżcie! Też jestem ciekaw, czy jak mam te wiadro, to czy coś się będzie działo dalej. No to na pewno też coś jest. Prosto czy lewo? Help! Send help. No dobra. To ja chyba wybiorę w takim razie. Spróbujmy na lewo.
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
No dobrze. Co więcej nie ma, okej.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional
Boże,
landscape of your
jak on
friends
napierdziela.
as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature
Property
cleaning
of
supplies
Stanley.
and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Zajebiste.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. See? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Czekamy jeszcze, nie ma mowy.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Buda naleje sobie wodę, ale wezmę głośniki na głośno, żeby słyszeć, czy on coś nie mówi. Okej, coś się wydarzyło? Chyba nie. Dobra, idziemy dalej. Założę się, że tu coś jest, ale trzeba poczekać.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Nie, idziemy do domu.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Bez kitu.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe...
No siema Manduka.
Maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms.
Wiem ready or not.
He asked the bucket.
Ale nic nie mówcie Borsiowi jeszcze.
But said nothing
Po
at all.
prostu wbije.
That's strange, Stanley thought.
Zaraz się
Usually,
skończy
that was a source of
ściąganie
guidance
chyba.
and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
O nie!
Bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket. Could it truly be? He rushed forward
Nie
from
mogę.
room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The
Bez
real
kitu.
was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
O
This
Boże.
is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man
No,
who
prawie,
stumbled
prawie.
through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Dobre, zajebiste.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something?
Borszy to na razie gdzieś jest, widzę ZW, poczekamy aż wróci. Dobra, ready or not ściągnięte. Czekamy aż Borsia wróci, na razie widzę, że ma ZW na live. Meeting today. O, jest i... Jest i bucket. Nie no, bez kitu bierzemy.
Lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the
Co wybieramy? Lewo czy prawo? Znowu prawo pewnie, nie? Albo lewo, albo prawo. Spróbuję jeszcze raz prawo, dobrze.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yeah, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Ostatnio poszliśmy tutaj w lewo. A tak, można iść prosto i tutaj jest w lewo jakieś zejście tam. Tak jak już pójdziemy tutaj, to nie pójdziemy tam. Także albo tu, albo tu. Możemy spróbować iść prosto. A możemy spróbować iść w lewo i tam może windą? Nie wiem. Pójdziesz po prostu pewnie się zabijesz. Nie, to zobaczymy co zrobimy coś innego może. No dobra, idę prosto.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him.
Geronimo!
Because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
No dobrze. Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Okej, to było niechcący. Po prostu wybrałem X, bo X.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Dobry jestem.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Yes!
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Kurwa. Nie mogę.
Is this a bucket?
No dobra, dajmy nie.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
What? Zebrali Palolkowi
Item
z jego
6.
farm simulatora.
Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless... Is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
O nie.
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
No dobra, widzę, że Bor się wrócił, to chyba pora na The Great Reveal. Dobra. Sequel is no po... Ty, cały czas gramy w Stanley Parable 2? Dobra, quit to the menu. Stanley Parable 2, zajebiście. I to zostało, lol. Bez kitu. No dzięki, dzięki. Dobra, momencik. Ja sekundowe zaraz wracam, pójdę tylko szybko sobie naleję też coś do picia i lecimy z Ronem.